Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq, with daily insight on the Nasdaq-100 Index, or the NDX, which is made up of 100 of the largest domestic and international non-financial innovative companies listed on the Nasdaq. The NDX has been the barometer for U.S. large cap growth and also one of the best performing indexes over the last decade and a half, not to mention one of the most liquid index ecosystems in the world. Joining me this Wednesday afternoon, we have McCormack, Factor and Core Equity Strategist at Invesco, to discuss Nasdaq-100 weekly performance, and we'll also take a look at some jobs data. Brian, it's great to see you as always. Let's dive into our first chart here and take a look at just how the Qs performed.
Yeah, a week of outperformance from growth stocks. You look at QQQ and QQQM up 1.16% for the week. That's relative to the S&P 500 up 0.63% and S&P 500 value up only 20 basis points. Very big week for employment numbers. So you had June 3rd, Thursday, you had the ADP employment change that showed nearly 1 million jobs, up from a revised lower 654,000 in April. Handily beat estimates for 650,000. And this represents the largest increase since June 2020. You saw a lot of that pickup in the hiring and leisure and hospitality industry, right? So we're still looking at that kind of rebound on those sectors that were particularly hard hit from COVID. The following day, Friday, June the 4th, we saw non-farm payrolls come in 559,000 for May. That's more than double the revised upward April reading for 278,000, but it missed estimates for 675,000. So you can see this one-year chart. You see a pretty big spike in May 2020 after a huge decline in April. But then you sort of see a moderation of that growth into year-end 2020, culminating in a negative number for December. Thus far in 2021, we're seeing a slight acceleration in that growth. Friday, June the 4th also showed the labor force participation rate declined by 0.1% in May to 61.6%, missing estimates slightly. So fewer people that were out of the workplace are coming back into the workplace for new jobs. And throughout all of this, we've seen a pretty steady decline in the initial jobless claims on a weekly basis. So perhaps a read-through of all of this, a potential sign that the economy is improving, but it's not running too hot, and the Fed will maintain the dovish stance. Additionally, maybe an increase in Americans going back to work may help ease some of the stress that we've seen of labor shortages across a number of industries.
And Ryan, let's drill down and take a look at sector performance. What do you see here?
Yeah, so relative outperformance of QQQ this week, aided by overweights in information technology and communication services. You and I talk about the differentiated healthcare exposure that QQQ provides. Pretty good example of that this week. You see healthcare within QQQ up 5.26% versus healthcare in the S&P 500 up only 0.48%. That outperformance was driven mainly by Biogen, up 48% for the week. And Moderna up 15.35%. Biogen's an overweight in QQQ, 35 basis points weighting versus 13 basis points in SPY, while Moderna is a 62 basis point weighting in QQQ and is not held in SPY. But this Biogen move was mainly centered on Monday when the stock jumped by over 38% after the FDA approved its Alzheimer's drug, aducanumab. It's a mouthful.
Yes.
But this is it's a groundbreaking approval, though. Number one, it's the first FDA-approved Alzheimer's treatment since 2003. Beyond that, it's the first FDA-approved drug that's directed at the underlying pathophysiology of the disease, which means it's actually looking to slow the cognitive decline rather than just treat symptoms of the disease. So a little bit of controversy here. The FDA's scientific advisory panel back in November said the effectiveness may not be persuasive enough, but the FDA decided to grant an accelerated approval, kind of used to fast track new drugs to treat serious or life-threatening diseases. That just means that it's going to continue to be studied. And then Moderna, a solid week. It's seeking approval for vaccine in adolescents from ages 12 to 17 in both the EU and Canada, and some news that the US government is going to send 25 million COVID vaccines to countries across Asia, Latin America, and Africa.
All right, Ryan, appreciate the insight as always. Thanks for joining us on Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.